It's getting bad out here for these older XXs who are choosing to do bad all by themselves instead of dating younger men without options or the men who make less than them. I want you guys to understand that women can always find a man to pipe them down and stick around for the long term once they're not too old. I'm not saying marriage, because the older they get, the less likely it will be that a man will want to marry them. I'm talking about long-term commitments or relationships. Women always have that option from somebody in their beta male orbit. So whenever you see a woman with no man in her life, that means she's probably enjoying life on the rooster carousel and she just want to have fun, or she's purposefully deciding to be single because she refuses to quote-unquote settle. Trust me, I've seen this so many times to confidently say that many women would rather stay single than take the best deal if they think they deserve better. And to be honest, I don't have a problem with that. Let these successful older women do whatever they want, even if that means they'll remain single and die alone. I could care less, because when they were young and winning in life, they didn't want any regular guys who would treat and take care of them. They were too busy sucking on Chad's vanilla bar and taking his cream down the esophagus instead of finding a suitable life partner. But now that they have a little money, they think they deserve the top-tier guys who are mounting them at night when they are at their worst. Previously, in their youth with beauty and fertility on their side, they had all the time in the world from age 18 to 28 to choose the best option that presented itself, and they still managed to fumble the bag. So knowing that, do you really expect me to give a damn about them? These women put themselves in that position, so let them learn the meaning of consequences. It's because they drank gallons of the womanism Kool-Aid. These women believe that money will help them to get a man at or above their level. As if men are attracted to how many zeros are in their bank accounts or how good they are at their job. Men are attracted to one thing and one thing only, and that's how physically attractive a woman is to them. That's all men care about, because no man has ever gotten a boner based on a woman's success. That will never happen, no matter how badly they wish men would overlook their declining bodies for their success and personality. And the men these women get wet for already have money and the ability to get younger women with firm, tight skin, beauty, and fertility. So why would these men settle for less when they have so many options to choose from? The math is too easy, gents. Of course, they aren't going to get the top-tier men when they're older and washed up, because just like when these older women had the advantage and options, they chose not to settle. The top-tier men are doing the exact same thing, and I don't blame them one bit. Before we get into why they're fearful of men checking out of relationships, I need to talk about this, so you understand where I'm going with the video. What I don't like about older women who choose to be successful over having a family is that they don't want to take accountability and the consequences of their decision to be where they want to be. As men, we all know that you can't have it all, and to get something, you will have to sacrifice something else in order to obtain or achieve your goals. This is the law of sacrifice at work, and that's just how it is. There's nothing we can do to change that. But because women don't want to be held accountable for a damn thing, they want to spend their younger years chasing the bag and living their best life while ignoring all the men who want to make them honest women. They chose to make that decision and choose money over starting a family, and that's ok. I don't have a problem with that. Let them go out there and chase the bag for all I care. My problem is after these successful older women get what they want and some of them reach the point where they start out-earning men, they want to blame men for not wanting to date them. This is when they're older with very little to offer besides money that we may or may not get access to, regardless of whether she makes more money. To make matters worse, some of them will try to force us to do things we don't want to do because they're trying to catch up for the time they traded their youth and fertility for success. A good example is that many who didn't want kids but froze their eggs will suddenly change their minds because they got baby rabies, and they'll push or force their boyfriends or husbands to jack off in a petri dish and spend tens of thousands of dollars of his money to give them what they missed out on trying to become successful in their prime when they should have been having kids. That's the BS that I'm talking about. They want to play God instead of accepting that they made the wrong decision and living with the consequences of their choices. But it is what it is. The men that choose these women are partially to blame because they could date younger women that won't do stuff like that if they wanted, so I can't completely throw these XXs under the bus. This is why I say don't date these women if you don't want the baggage and BS that comes with it. Or don't date at all and live your life in peace, quiet, and freedom. The choice is yours, gents, but stop acting like you can't do better and settle for less or a situation that you don't want. With that said, let's look at why successful older women fear men checking out of relationships. Gents, I have a YouTube channel I'm trying to monetize. I'll link it in the description and pinned comments so you can support me by subscribing. I only need a few more of you to subscribe, and I'll be halfway monetized. Thank you for the support, brothers. I appreciate all of you. Successful older women don't want to fail in relationships. I know you guys know that older women don't want to die alone. However, it goes deeper than that, and I'll explain why. A woman who has had success in other areas of her life, especially her career, doesn't want to be seen as a failure with men, because in the eyes of the people around her, it will look like nobody finds her attractive enough to put a ring on her finger, which will hurt her ego. So socially, she'll be an outcast in her friend group because highly likely they will all be married. And if she's not married, she'll eventually lose her place in that friend group and her friends. That's what she doesn't want, so she'll want a man to marry her so they can be invited to couples retreats and vacations, hang out at her friend's house, and do fun activities together. Basically, she doesn't want to lose the people around her and the type of lifestyle she's accustomed to, so she'll want a man. The problem is she can't marry a low-value man because her friendship circle will consist of women married to wealthy men. Not only that, these people would probably not let in anybody in their circle, and she would be made fun of by the women, so she has to look for an accomplished man, which is damn near impossible in her older years. That's a tough pill these successful older women have to swallow because they realize the men they want will only use them as practice and will never commit to them. Then to add insult to injury, men that are good enough to pass as her husband and barely get accepted in her friendship circle are going their own way. They're going to live the free agent lifestyle, or they're on monk mode. So of course, she's going to start to panic because all of the available options she thought she could pull out of desperation are now waking up and checking out of relationships. This is why successful older women are getting increasingly desperate because they're trying to keep up with appearances, but nobody wants them or is rushing them down the aisle. It's a sad state of the successful older woman, but remember, she chose this life to become successful, and she just wants to get married out of selfishness and not to benefit her man. So like I always say, don't feel sorry for them because when she's older, she's not marrying you or dating you out of love and respect. Let's give you one more thing to think about. Successful older women fear never getting the wedding. Everybody knows that damn near all women wants to get married because of status. They want to have a day all to themselves, get a big lavish ceremony, and have all the attention and eyes on them. That's what they really want deep down, so if they've never had that before, they'll want to get a man to at least walk her down the aisle once. The problem these women face is that nobody wants to marry them when they're older, whether she's successful or not. See, they were told that when they get successful, they would be able to get the top-tier guys all to themselves. However, when the truth reveals itself and these women come to the realization that they wasted their youth and beauty chasing success and the bag just to end up single and unmarried, it breaks them. These women thought they would get what they wanted by chasing success and being around those types of men, but they realize those guys are not looking to get married, especially with the number of available options for younger women that they have. So what do? They start trying to find a man to settle down with that's good enough. The thing is, those men have woken up. They're not trying to wife up anybody, especially an older woman, so all she's getting is ran through on the rooster rotation, and that's it. So when these successful women realize that they're going through man after man and are still not getting a wedding proposal, many start to panic when the option of marriage doesn't present itself. But again, they put themselves in that situation, so I don't feel sorry for any of them, and neither should you. My advice to men interested in dating these women is to understand you're getting a bad deal and you should abort the mission. Do not try to wife up any of these women or take them seriously, especially if they make more money than you, because they'll have no problem rubbing it in your face in an argument. And you're not getting her when she has value, so why roll the dice on that? You already know her money is not your money, so why take that deal? Come on, gents, I must sound like a broken record, but avoid these women and date younger women if that's what you want to do. At least you'll be getting those women at their best instead of dealing with someone who just wants to finesse, manipulate, and give themselves to you at their worst. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours to make. I hope you make the right decision that benefits you long term. If you're new and like our content, subscribe, tap the bell, and then tap all so you never miss any of our videos. Also on the screen is our Season 10 RP content that you will enjoy, so click the video on the screen right now to get a good laugh and be 2 steps ahead of modern women.